Good evening, everybody. We're calling the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for July 14th, 2025 to order. Can we have a roll call, please? Patrick?
Commissioner Mann? Here. Commissioner Hyder? Commissioner Alexander?
Here.
Commissioner DeBrava?
Here.
Commissioner Copeland?
Here.
Commissioner Ellis?
Here.
Commissioner Means?
Here.
Thank you. First item of business is to approve the agenda. You all should have received a copy of the agenda in the mail. Does anybody have any changes or either additions or subtractions from this agenda?
Motion to approve?
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Alexander?
Yes. Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava?
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis?
Aye.
Commissioner Means?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann?
Aye.
Commissioner Copeland?
Aye.
Next order of business is the approval of the minutes of the June 2025 meeting of this commission. Does anyone have any additions, changes, concerns?
Did you guys send out a copy of the minutes?
No. The minutes should be included in the packet.
They are not.
No, we did not.
We will go ahead and table the minutes from the last meeting, and we will bring that back at the August Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Okay. Sure, you didn't get it?
Do we need a motion for that?
In the packet. All right.
Karen, do we need to take a motion for that?
Let's go ahead and do that just in case.
Motion to table?
Second.
I have a motion to table the approval of the minutes of the June 2025 meeting. And a second, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Copeland?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann?
Aye.
Commissioner Means?
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis?
Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava?
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander?
Aye.
Okay, it looks like tonight we have 3 hearings, public hearings. We always have Patrick as the official reader of the public hearing meeting procedures. If you would be so kind, Patrick, and do that for us.
Sure thing. The Planning and Zoning Commission holds public hearings as required by law and provides recommendations to City Council on all matters relating to land use planning, zoning, and the subdivision of land. Any person who has interest in the subject matter of a hearing will have the opportunity to provide testimony and present evidence to the Planning and Zoning Commission during the public hearing. Speakers are required to conduct themselves in an orderly and respectful manner. Disruptive behavior, including applause, yelling, speaking out of turn, or other inappropriate behaviors, will not be tolerated. Additionally, the following applies to any person addressing the commission. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes unless authorized additional time by the chairperson. Speakers must speak at the lectern unless previous arrangements have been made by the chairperson. Speakers must legibly print their name and address on the sign-in sheet at the lectern prior to speaking. Speakers must begin by stating their name and address, and speakers should speak clearly and into the microphone. The chairperson will announce the subject of the hearing, followed by a report from staff. The chairperson will then open the public hearing to the applicant, followed by those in favor of the application and those opposed to the application. The chairperson will close the public hearing. During this time, the commission will discuss amongst themselves. The public may not address the commission after the close of the public hearing unless requested by the chairperson. The Planning and Zoning Commission shall base their recommendation and/or decision on the information and evidence presented during the public hearing. This decision, if required by the application, will be forwarded in writing to City Council for further consideration.
Thank you, Patrick. I'm going to call the first public hearing. That's PDD 25-001. Public hearing and possible vote to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 18.49 acres located at the 900 block of South Colorado Avenue from Frisco Square PDD to Frisco Square amended Planned Development District PDD. Proceed with the report of the city.
Thank you,
Chris.
Chairman. Chris Tabor, Principal Planner. Modern Tractor and Supply, Inc. has applied to change the zoning classification of approximately 18.49 acres of property located at the 900 block of Colorado Avenue from Planned Development District PDD to amended Frisco Square Planned Development District PDD. The applicant is proposing the rezoning of the subject property to amended Frisco Square Planned Development District PDD, a single-family residential subdivision containing a maximum of 75 lots and a maximum density of 4.05 lots per acre. The proposed development plan will allow for single-family residential lots consisting of a total of 75 lots with a minimum lot size of 5,500 square feet and detention. The development plan also contains new water, sanitary sewer, associated stormwater systems, and 4 local streets to support the development. More specifically, the applicant's proposal includes the following elements: single-family residential lots, 75 total, permitted uses, single-family residential. Setbacks are listed as 25 feet from the front, 25 from the rear. Interior side setback, which is house against house or property against property, is 6 feet. Side street setback off a local classified street is 15 feet, and the side street setback off of a collector classified street is 20 feet. The lot size minimum area is 5,500 square feet, the minimum width is 50 feet, and the minimum depth is 110 feet. The subject property is currently zoned as part of the Frisco Square Planned Development District, PDD. The current PDD, which is the current zoning of the property, allows for a mix of residential types. Specifically, the current PDD, the existing zoning, allows for multifamily residential R3, a total acreage of 8.45 acres, for a total dwelling of 147 potential maximum dwelling units at 17.4 dwelling units per acre. And single-family residential, R1H, a total of 3.3 acres of the property for a total dwelling number of 19 at 6.22 dwelling units per acre, and then green space of 5.03 acres. Again, that's the existing zoning now. The purpose of the planned development regulation is to allow for mixed-use, unconventional, or innovative arrangements of land and public facilities which would be difficult to develop under the conventional land use and development regulations of the city. Planned unit developments must demonstrate substantial congruence with each of the following conditions in order to be considered eligible for approval. The proposed development plan shall involve a mixture of or variation of land uses or density. Amended Frisco Square PDD contains a residential density not otherwise available within the city's currently adopted zoning districts. The proposed development plan shall involve the provision of all infrastructure deemed necessary to adequately serve the potential development. The amended Frisco Square PDD development plan includes provisions for municipal water and sewer services, a plan for stormwater management, and the construction of several local class streets. The proposed development plan shall involve design elements that promote the City of Republic's comprehensive plan and other adopted plans of the city. The City of Republic's comprehensive and land use plans promote the expansion of residential development at locations supported by the city's water, sanitary, sewer, and transportation networks. The amended Frisco Square PDD property can be adequately supported by the city's capacities for water, sewer, and transportation. The proposed development plan shall involve design elements intended to lessen congestion in the streets, to secure safety from fire, panic, and other dangers, to promote health and the general welfare, to provide adequate light and air, to prevent the overcrowding of land, to avoid undue concentration of population, to preserve features of historical significance, to facilitate the adequate provision of transportation, water, sewerage, schools, parks, and other public improvements. The amended Frisco Square PDD development plan includes the construction of several local streets and sidewalks, furthering connectivity throughout the city. The development plan also proposes a reduced density that does not cause undue concentration of population and facilities, the capacity to serve existing water and also sewer infrastructure. The city's comprehensive plan and land use plan generally encourage the expansion of residential development through proactive rezoning of land at appropriate locations. Appropriate locations are generally described throughout the plan with regard to the relationship of land at particular locations to infrastructure capable of supporting various intensities and densities of uses. The 2021 Comprehensive Plan and Land Use Plan identifies land use goals and objectives relating to development as follows. Community Development Goals and Objectives. Goal 1, support market conditions to develop a greater variety of residential options. Objective 1B, to support a variety of housing developments and styles to ensure a range of options are available. Coordination with infrastructure. Goal 1, to support new development that is well connected to the existing community. Objective 1A, encourage development that improves and expands upon existing infrastructure. And Objective 1B, to promote development aligning with current adopted plans of the city. Goal 2, recognize potential infill sites as opportunities for development while mitigating impacts to adjacent established properties. Objective 1A, to support the development of vacant parcels as opportunities for densification that is harmonious with surrounding development. The subject site is surrounded by existing vacant commercial zone properties and developed or vacant residential zoned properties and uses. To the north, across Colorado Avenue, Frisco Square Village zoning, mixed use of multifamily residential types. To the northwest is Frisco Square PDD, existing planned development district, which has mixed uses of commercial and residential directly adjacent to local commercial. To the south is high-density single-family, R1H. To the east is the Sunset Landing PDD, known as Monte Cristo, which is a mixed use of single-family and multifamily residential. And to the west, across Illinois Avenue, is general commercial C2. The proposed development plan ensures that incoming properties, I want to make a correction. To the east, it's a mixed use, Monte Cristo is a mixed use of single family and zero lot line zoned properties. So townhomes that are separated by a lot, not multifamily residential. The proposed development plan ensures that incoming properties are adjacent to those that are like zoning with single family residential. The proposed development is planned to allow for less intense residential use than was previously approved in the last rendition of the approved planned development district. The land uses permitted in the applicant's proposal are considered to be generally compatible with the surrounding commercial and residential zoned properties and uses in proximity to the subject parcel. Regarding municipal water and sewer service, the subject site is in proximity to the City of Republic sanitary sewer and water service with existing points of connection to the north and west. Several potential connections are available for both utilities. The development will be served via a looped water system connecting to existing mains that have points of connection to the north and west. The exact location and size of the water mains required to serve the development will be determined during the infrastructure design process. Effluent from the development would gravity to the Woodland Park lift station and then force to the Schuler Creek lift station before traveling to the wastewater treatment facility. The water system, existing lift stations, and the water treatment facility have sufficient capacity to serve the proposed development at full build-out. The planned development proposes 4 new streets facilitating circulation within the subdivision. Virginia Crescent Drive, a local street, Canary Street, a local street, Justice Court, a local street, and Cordova Avenue, a local street. The proposed development plan would create 4 new local streets that provide connectivity within the neighborhood to two collector streets. The new local street of Virginia and Crescent Drive would have access to the existing collector streets to the west and north of Illinois Avenue and Colorado Avenue, thus providing connectivity between 2 collector streets. In addition, the development plan will create another access point off of Colorado Avenue with the newly proposed street of Cordova Avenue. In accordance with policy, the applicant was required to perform a traffic impact study to analyze the impact of the traffic generated by the proposed development. The TIS was then reviewed by Builds and MoDOT staff. The results of the TIS indicate the proposed full build-out of the development will not warrant any traffic improvements. The development plan contains 3 areas designated for stormwater, retention, and detention, designed to accommodate stormwater generated by the development. The location of these areas is in the northeast corner, the southwest corner, and the center of the development area, as necessitated by the topography of the property, and are visible on the submitted plat. Additional stormwater areas and/or easements may be required through the engineering design process. The stormwater retention, detention areas, drainage easements, and all open space common areas will be owned and maintained by the developer and/or a property owners association. The subject parcel does not contain a special flood hazard area or floodplain. The subject parcel does contain 2 identified sinkholes. All construction will be in accordance with Section 410.700 of the City of Republic's adopted ordinances, sinkholes and karst features, which does not allow for any construction within a 30-foot setback of the mapped sinkhole. The development plan proposes the sinkhole and the 30-foot no-build setback from the identified sinkholes to be entirely within the common areas located in the development area. The design and the design and precise placement of the streets, sidewalks, water and sanitary sewer systems, and stormwater detention will be reviewed and permitted during the infrastructure permitting process. All developments must include site design providing for sufficient emergency vehicle access as well as fire protection facilities, e.g. fire hydrants. Additional elements of code compliance evaluated at the time of infrastructure design impacting the development of the subject property include, but are not limited to, the city's zoning regulations, adopted fire code, and adopted building code. The next steps in the process of development of the subject parcel, upon a favorable rezoning outcome, would be the development, review, and approval of an infrastructure permit for the construction of utility services and roads. I also want to note that since we have gone to publication on this item, the legal description has changed. It has been reduced. The original publication does include the entire area on the map, but what the current legal description that we will use in the ordinance, if adopted, is a lessened version of that lot. Staff considers the proposed zoning map amendment, rezoning to Planned Development District, to be generally consistent with the goals and objectives of the comprehensive and land use plans, generally consistent with the trend of development in the vicinity of the site, generally compatible with surrounding land uses, and able to be adequately served by municipal facilities. Specifically, the proposed development can be adequately served by the city's municipal water and sanitary sewer services and the city's transportation network. Based on this analysis, performed without the benefit of evidence and testimony of a public hearing, staff recommends the approval of the application.
I need to ask one question before we go further. You said that the size, because there's been a change in the amount of property.
So if you look at the lot up there on the map behind you, or on any of these set of TVs, so that's showing you kind of the design, right? In the upper left section, there's a U shape, a horseshoe shape. That section is also part of the original legal description, but not a part of what we are rezoning tonight.
Okay, so does it change the 18.49 acres
It
that
does
we're
not.
talking about? Okay, that's all I was worried about. Okay. We'll hear from the applicant or the applicant's representative if somebody wants to come forward and talk to us about it.
Good evening. My name is Chris Wynn. I'm located at 5051 South National Avenue, Suite 7A. I'm a civil engineer with CJW Transportation Consultants, and I'm representing the developer on this property. To kind of clarify the legal description, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, I think the only ramification of the legal description being larger when advertised is that more people were probably notified of the zoning change than what necessarily could have or should have been, since we had a larger area and we went with a smaller area. The big takeaway for me, as far as this development goes, is what's currently approved out there on this property. This property is currently in a planned development, as Chris mentioned. The current planned development has a significantly larger density than what we are asking to be approved today. You know, normally when we come through with a planned development with smaller lots, you know, everybody's worried about the density, rightfully so. More density, more people, more cars, more traffic. But in this case is kind of unique, where the current planned development today allows for just under 150 apartments and 20 or 19 residential lots. So the current planned development that exists today has single-family residence along the border with the existing neighborhood, and then as you move towards the center, has a higher density of apartment complexes. We aren't asking for any of that today. We're looking to go back to just a relatively standard single-family development. The only thing that would be a little bit unique to our development compared to just standard code is the lot sizes are slightly smaller than what code would normally allow. So that's why we're asking for a plan development instead, an amendment to the plan development instead of your standard already predetermined Republic zoning code. So I think it's very important to note that the current, plan development allows for a combined, if you were to combine the multifamily, the green space, and the single-family residential that's under the current zoning code, it has a density, a dwelling unit density of 9.89 dwelling units per acre. We're asking for 4.05, so we're asking for almost a 200% reduction in dwelling units that's currently approved by the city. Looking at some other features of this development, it's unique in a couple other ways. The stormwater detention is interesting on this property. There's kind of a natural draw that runs through the center of this property. There's a detention basin there to the southwest corner that drains onto this property. So you can see that we've got a series of detention basins. The two on the southwest side of the one on the southwest and then the one in the center are accompanied by sinkholes as well. So we are working around some geological features, but we've taken that into account with large green space areas, detention basins, before we pass that water on to the northeast where it goes naturally. There's a large channel that it drains into that then heads east kind of through the Monte Cristo development. As mentioned by staff, city utilities are in the area available for this development. We're going with a lesser density here than what's previously approved, so we're putting less tax or less impact on those facilities that are nearing capacity. As far as traffic concern goes, I know with any development, traffic is a big concern. We did perform a traffic study that was reviewed by staff as well as MoDOT. The traffic study determined that there's no required traffic improvements. The biggest concern would be at Colorado and Illinois, where you've got to get onto 60. I mean, 60 is a busy road, but given the alternative of double the density on this property, this is a positive impact. And taking that all out of the equation, the traffic study still does not show necessary improvements. As far as what I have to present today, that's kind of the overview. I think staff did a good job of explaining in depth what the plan for the PDD is and what is necessary for the PDD to be approved. We feel that we're meeting those requirements, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. Or if there's questions after the community speaks, I'd be happy to come back up if you guys need me to clarify something.
I have one framing question here.
Yes, sir.
We start out here with the Frisco Square PDD, I think is the original PDD.
Correct.
Which included all of this property and more.
Correct.
All right. And you're in essence just amending a portion of that. And
Correct.
tonight, that's what we're talking about tonight, is a portion of that, leaving the remainder in the original PDD format.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Only what's in question today is the single-family lots that are before you in this.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stick around.
I will be.
We may have questions.
I'm going to sign in really quick.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the application? If so, come forward, tell us who you are. Not seeing anyone. Is there anyone that wishes to speak or come forward and speak as opposed to the application.
I'm Kevin Knotts. I live at 9455 West Farm Road, 194 here in the Republic, in the county. And right south of Monte Cristo subdivision is our farm, our property. And we have really concern about stormwater coming through our property. We do have, also do have a sinkhole. And the water that comes from Monte Cristo already comes through our property that does a lot of erosion. And also, when the water comes through at a certain cubic feet per minute, it overflows a pond that we have, and then it ends up in that sinkhole, and not sure exactly where it goes from there, but it goes underground. And we, certainly subdivisions, have no regulations on how much herbicides and pesticides that each homeowner can put on their grasses and stuff. And I have some experience with that. We were sued one time about a homeowners association suing our cranberry marsh in Wisconsin, and because they said we were polluting the lake that was in that subdivision. And come to find out, they did a lot of studies and tests and things, and it was actually the homeowners that were polluting the lake because there's no regulations. Farmers have regulations on how much herbicides and pesticides we can put in, but homeowners, they just pour it on. They don't really understand or know how much or when to quit. And so they pollute, they pollute this stuff. And so myself and our neighbors, are getting bad water reports from, our drinking water. And so we've now put in $15,000 worth of filters. We put in a lighting system. It's ultraviolet lighting system on our water, and we're having issues. And so is our neighbor. Neighbor put in the same kind of issues, and we're thinking it's coming from Monte Cristo. And, some of the bacteria and stuff that are flowing into our properties. We've got animals there, and our animals sometimes have had problems with water, sicknesses. So that's our concern. Our concern is, and in Monte Cristo, they did detention ponds. Well, all that means is they're just slowing the water down to come into our area. They're just kind of slowing it down, or maybe they're not even slowing it down. They made concrete paths to go through that pond, and it doesn't really even slow the water down. And then when you add all this concrete and blacktop and roads and all that stuff, the water doesn't get a chance to sink into the ground. It goes right on through, and it flows into our property. And of course, when we're baling hay or doing stuff like that on our property, we've got these big ruts now through our property, and we've got it on both sides because the water that comes from that subdivision to the west, also, they keep on building over there, and water's coming through our property through the creek there, and water's coming through our property from the north, and it's causing lots of erosion and things, and causing, the biggest problem is our drinking water. That's our huge problem, and we're getting city water coming into the county there, and that's an issue for us. We don't want to see it. We would rather have, a retention pond in Monte Cristo and a retention pond in this new thing that's going to develop instead of, detention ponds, which just lets the water flow through. And certainly the engineers can kind of figure this out. And I did get your engineer report from Monte Cristo and looked through it. And, but what the engineers are saying is they're saying, okay, you got this many gallons, this quantity of water in flow rate per minute coming through the property was the same as it was before they built anything there. Well, sure, that's true, but the total quantity is different. You know, you got total quantity of water coming in, overfilling our pond up, then it goes in and goes into the, you know, the sinkhole, and then we have problems. And, you know, so we're in excess of $15,000 trying to fix those problems that we feel was caused because they leave the water go through instead of doing a retention pond, they're doing detention ponds. And if you can retain that water, well, you know, if you can retain that water and let it evaporate and not come through our property, you know, that's so much better for us than to just let that water flow on through for longer periods of time and a total quantity, a way greater total quantity of water than was originally going through that property. And so, you know, we're concerned about it, certainly. I know our neighbors are concerned about it. You're concerned about that water coming in and, you know, having all the chemicals that it's got going on there and bacteria and everything else that's flowing probably into the groundwater. And it looks like you got some other sinkholes up there where that water could flow into. And, you know, there is no regulations to control the chemicals. There's no regulations. You guys don't have any regulations on that. I don't think state of Missouri's got any regulations on that. They can pour it on as much as they want. They like their grass green, and they like no weeds, and they like no bugs. And so they're putting pesticide and herbicides on, you know, and maybe in 10 times the amount a farmer can do legally. We get fined for doing that. But, you know, there's no controls for folks that are in subdivisions. They're pouring it on because they want green grass. And certainly you can't get that kind of grass. I know that. You can't get that kind of grass without pouring it on to, you know, beyond what really is safe for the rest of the environment downstream from there. So that's my concern, you know, and that's what we, you know, we're just concerned about this, more water coming through and more chemicals coming through. And we're getting it from two sides. We're getting it from the west side of Illinois Street, and we're getting it also, you know, from the north of our property. We're getting it from both sides of this, and it's not, doesn't make us happy anyway. It just doesn't make us happy. It makes us spend a lot of money unnecessarily, and we don't feel like that's the way we should do business and treat our neighbors.
Thank you. Are you a dairy farmer? Sir, Mr.
What's
Nutt?
that?
Are you a dairy farmer?
No, we're not dairy farmers. We have,
Just cattle?
well, we've had cattle on that property. We've had goats on that property. We've had 70 goats at some point, and we've got horses on that property.
Are you, your basic problem is what is coming to you from Monte Cristo,
Yeah, and if this water's running
that
in,
development?
yeah, and this water's gonna run into Monte Cristo from what I'm hearing. You know, it's gonna run right straight through that area. All the water that is north and west of our property comes into our property from those subdivisions.
Let me say to you that the one thing that we try to do, the city has responsibility over, is to ensure that with water coming on to moving between areas, moving between houses, or in this case, areas, the contractor has to assure us and that there won't be any more water.
Well, that may be a little bit misleading, because you can't put a bunch of concrete and houses in and think there's not gonna be any more water. I think the way I looked at the engineering from Monte Cristo, you know, and looked it over, it's basically saying, yeah, there's more water coming onto our property. It's just the flow rate. You know, the flow rate has been slowed down maybe to get it so it's not quite as bad. To be honest with you, the water is coming faster than it used to come. It's causing quite a bit of an erosion there, and it's very evident. It's very evident the erosion it's causing, you know. And, you know, that engineering can be a little bit misleading because that's exactly what I thought too. I thought, hey, you know, no more water's coming through there. Well, yes, it is. The quantity of water, total quantity, you mean you can't put concrete roads and concrete down and rooftops down and take away, you know, the ground and where it soaks in and expect not more water to come through. It's coming through. The engineer is just saying, well, we're trying to slow her down so that she can't come through so fast, you know, but the total quantity, when it overflows our pond and it gets up beyond the pond, you know, that's a whole different ballgame, you know, so I don't think that, you know, I thought the same thing you thought, you know, I thought, well, the engineer is saying basically there's no more water coming through there. It just doesn't happen. It's impossible.
All right, we'll, I'm sure, have a discussion about that. Thank you, Mr. Knott. Is there anyone else that's opposed to this development that wishes, or application that wishes to speak? Yes, ma'am?
To speak?
Yes?
May I speak?
Yes?
Thank you. Hello, my name is Christine Kirby, and I live at 1169 South Calabria Avenue in the Monte Cristo housing. But I'm here tonight to address Modern Tractor and Supply people. And are you back here?
Ma'am,
You need to talk to us.
Just speak to you?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
thank you, thank you. I would like to ask Modern Tractor and Supply Company to consider in their building of their homes, there is quite a large grove of trees that is in that vacant field today. And that grove of trees houses a lot of birds, songbirds, hundreds if not thousands of birds. And it's a beautiful grove of trees. And all that I'm asking and my neighbors is that if Modern Tractor and Supply Company would consider trying to save as many trees as possible. They're connected, we're backed up to their property on Calabria and on Melody Lane. And if there's any possible way for them to save any of those trees, we would be very grateful.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak as being opposed to this application? If you haven't signed in,
I have not yet, no.
sign in.
Yes.
Forgot that.
Yes, my name is William Springer. I'm at 403 West Melody Lane. Also, I have a question on the timer. Were we not told 5 minutes at the beginning?
Yeah,
Okay. good.
Yes.
Set for 3. That's all I'm just clarifying.
I actually haven't made note of it. If you run on and on, I may
That's,
make
I just
note of
happened to see it above Miss Means' head there in the back. So I was just clarifying that we had 5 minutes. So yeah, I'm at 403 West Melody Lane, and I will back up to Canary Street, I believe, if I'm looking at it correctly. I'm just kind of curious as to, you know, they show the 2 sinkholes. Have there been any studies to search the property for other sinkholes, to our knowledge, or to the developer's knowledge?
Speak to us and then.
Okay, that's
we'll- I've got a note here and.
Because I do believe that there are other sinkholes on that property that may or may not be reflected on this map. I believe there's one developing potentially behind my house currently, actually along where the sewer main runs behind Melody Lane. I also have a question regarding,
Is that on the PDD or is that on the current?
it realistically with how, depending on the study that would be done, it very well could, it's on the very back of my property line and goes north, so it goes on to the PDD.
Okay.
Also, has there been a study regarding the effects of wildlife back there? There's several owls, which we all know are protected animals, and the destruction of those trees or the grove that the previous owner mentioned, that would affect their habitat. So I'm just kind of voicing my opinion on that, and if we were to create some sort of I don't want to use buffer as a term, but a buffer between the current existing homeowners in Monte Cristo and the new development, that would alleviate that potential destruction of their habitat and would allow us homeowners who were also told that, nobody was going to build a neighborhood behind us. That's what our developer told us, and, I know you take it with a grain of salt. I understand that.
You need to go talk to him.
Well, agreed. It's a whole nother ballgame, but, yes. So I guess that's just kind of my questions is what are going to be the environmental impacts, and has there been a study on the potential of different sinkholes that are not currently shown on that map?
Got it.
So,
Thank you, Mr. Springer.
yep, thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak who's opposed?
My name is Deb O'Neill. I live at 473 West Melody Lane, which would back up to some of these houses that would be on Canary Street, and I'm going to share the same oppositions as some of my other neighbors. There is an owl that does live in those trees. We hear him very often. I bought my house in 2019, new. We've heard the owl ever since, so I would really hate to see those trees and the owl be disturbed. I would also highly contest the traffic. That is a 2-lane highway right there with a turn lane. I'm sure you're all aware. Traffic coming through from Billings is coming in fast. That's a hard spot to get out and to turn right or left onto Highway 60. There's also a lot of traffic coming from Clever on P Highway, which could eventually also be affected by this as well. So I would just really contest those two things, really ask that there's at least a buffer or the environmental concerns are addressed as well. And then if I understand correctly, these lot sizes proposed are smaller than what is the Republic standard. Did I understand that correctly?
Chris?
They're smaller than any of the specific zoning districts that the city has as allowable by right.
On the low,
I'm sorry?
on the density?
Not by density, but by the lot size requirements.
And this is a PDD, it's different requirements for size of
So what they're specifically asking for is a specialized zoning district, so.
Okay, so with that, I guess my layman's terms of understanding is these are smaller lots than what is normal, and I would,
No. If you go out on any residential street and you build, you have to meet the R1M, R1L, whatever. You have to meet that requirement, and that's a square footage requirement. In a PDD, it's different. It's different because you have different uses all mixed together. And so you may have smaller houses, you may have zero lot line kind of, that's not in here, I haven't heard that, but that would be a possibility. So you can't say it's normal for a PDD, because what's normal for a PDD is not what's normal for a standard residential neighborhood.
okay.
Just to quickly summarize, these are smaller than the lots that you would live in. that
Yes,
you
I can
reside
tell,
in?
because our 15 houses are spread down the whole of Melody Lane. This is squishing in 15 houses in maybe 3/4 of that same distance.
Right.
So I don't, for sake of just opposing this, I would oppose those lot sizes being as small as they are.
Thank you. Anyone else who's opposed, wish to speak?
Good evening. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak today. My name is Tara Benson. I have a house in Monte Cristo at 401 West Picardy. However, my parents, who are elderly, live at 399 West Melody, which will back up into this new division as well. And they are also on the tree line, and we also have a number of different animals that are living in that area. And also the sun that is can be protected against all of those houses as is. And if you go into other subdivisions that don't have any trees at all, it's unsafe for a lot of people, and unsafe for the animals that live in that area. I do think that the noise is going to get a lot greater for us in that area. It is, like was mentioned before, the lots being smaller are going to add a lot more people to that side of town and in that area, along with the traffic that is going to bring through. And I also want to address the infrastructure for electricity. I know that we said that we have the capacity to handle that. However, anyone who's living in that area could say that there was quite a few times where power was not lost. In fact, for people who were living about 2 blocks away, they hadn't lost power in 10 years. And in the past year, they've lost power 3 different times during storms. And so I'm concerned about the infrastructure and its capacity at this point. Thank you.
What about power?
The capacity in the infrastructure for the grid of the power, in that people have continued to lose power greater times than they have in the past.
Okay. Well, all right, fine, I understand. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak as opposed?
My name is Tracy Erickson. I live at 361 East Lombardi Drive, which is on the other side of P Highway, which isn't necessarily impacted by the nature of the description of the property and what's being built there. However, we will be impacted by the traffic that's going to be flowing through. Because of the subdivision that's being built on the east side of White Oak, Gray Street is going to become a through street. Right now, it's gated off, and traffic cannot go through there. With the addition of all these people, they're going to find that to be a racetrack, and they're going to cruise right on through Gray Street, bump up over into, I believe it's Miller, past the park there, and then get them on out to the high school, or get them on over to ZZ over here to get them into Springfield. So the addition of that much more population on that side of Springfield definitely will have an impact on the traffic and the quality of life of all of us that live in that area. It's already noisy as can be. We can hear the subdivisions being built on the east of White Oak and on the southeast of White Oak. And then we're going to have all this crazy noise that's going to be coming up with digging and putting in sewer lines and all of that kind of rock crushing that takes place. It's been noisy for over a year, and we're going to have more of that. So I'm opposed to the entire subdivision, whether it stands as it is or stands where they want to change it. It's too much. And the infrastructure is not built to handle all of this new livelihood that the city wants to bring into Republic. The infrastructure can't handle it. And until there's a plan to figure that out, maybe add some more stop signs, add some more street lights, stoplights, add some more turning lanes, make the roads wider, it can't accommodate anything more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Erickson. Is there anyone else that's opposed that wishes to speak? I think we've pretty well drained everybody. Everybody's spoken. Okay. discuss it. Okay, hearing no one else, let me make one last call. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak as opposed to this application? Seeing no one coming forward, I'm going to close the hearing. Now we will discuss it in open session and probably ask some questions of people with respect to the information that we've received from the people that spoke. How's the best one to do this?
You can go through each item and we can try to do it.
Yeah, I think we need to go through and try and do this. I'm not sure who the best person is to ask, Chris, so if you can kind of direct where it goes. We had questions about stormwater, sinkholes, pesticides. Start there.
I'd invite the city's engineer to come up and talk, briefly
About the sinkholes?
about,
Stormwater.
those very stormwater-related
Okay,
items.
okay.
Chris, while he does that, can you give clarity, like the density, the lot sizing, like how does that compare to our standard sizing?
So the density for the R1H houses, which are the ones to the south there, for instance, that's a 6.33 lots per acre density.
Okay.
This is a 4.05 lots per acre density.
But that's on the full, the 18 acres or whatever, right?
That's on the part that we're talking
Yeah,
about tonight.
okay.
Not that U-shaped part included.
But including the white space?
It's the 18
Not
plus
including the white
acres.
space to the top left.
It's the 18
Retention.
acres involved.
Yes,
in
it does include the sinkholes and retention and green space.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
all would.
okay.
So would Monte Cristo include their retention and
Yeah.
green space.
Okay.
So it is, a lower density than what is surrounding it there.
Okay.
They may be situated differently, but it's a
Right, the
lower
property is
density.
organized differently.
Right, so, and that, I'm making an assumption here, and I want you to shoot this down or whatever. With a lower density, you're going to have ostensibly less folks, less cars, less other things.
For instance, this is, as Mr. Nguyen said, this is it's a 50% or more reduction from what the existing density would be on the existing PDD today. So less trips in this PDD, less users of water, wastewater, electric than would be on the existing PDD were someone to build as it's designed and passed today.
So what that means to you all that are out there, and again, stop me if I'm wrong, is that if this plan to amend the PDD is not approved, there's still a PDD that's been accepted in place for a long time that puts different limits on this. In fact, a higher limit of residences or
Yes.
potential residences.
There's a PDD that was passed in the aughts that at the time of that PDD ordinance is perpetual, so that is the continuing zoning until it is rezoned, if ever. As you mentioned, if this rezone is not approved, if the rezone does not go through the approval process successfully, then it will revert or remain as the existing one with effectively the higher density.
And for further clarification, the original Frisco Square development was done in the 90s, so that plan was approved by the city prior to almost all of the development, including Monte Cristo, that was later built. So this is the original development in this sector of the city.
Meaning that the neighborhoods who came in would have come in second with this
Yes,
already in
correct.
place.
Okay.
Okay.
Identify yourself for us.
My name is Angel, city engineer for the city, Angel Falick. So I'll first cover the stormwater flows from Monte Cristo. As far as this development goes, we haven't seen a stormwater report for it. It's basically, being zoned, so we haven't seen any actual engineering on it, just this concept before you. So I can't speak on the flows that will follow, but according to our ordinance and our stormwater manual, they should follow pre-existing stormwater flow. So they should match that, or, you know, less than that should leave the site. As far as herbicides and pesticides, we don't have an exact ordinance for controlling that, but we have a stormwater management plan where we kind of make the residents aware of using those herbicides and pesticides. So all we can do is provide awareness as to how you should use that, and we have that information on our website and in our stormwater management plan. Not sure exactly what else I can cover, but if you have any additional questions.
Sinkhole study, did you talk about that?
So we haven't seen a sinkhole study for this particular site, and
Who does that?
so
Who's responsible for that?
So when we evaluate the sinkhole situation on a property, we use the Greene County's existing log of sinkholes in the area, which is a publicly available GIS layer that we have on our map that shows where all of the counties believe sinkholes are, where they expect or where they understand them to be most likely. Now, what that layer does is it tries to err on the side of caution, and so what we find in a lot of cases that those sinkholes, when explored, may be smaller if you go in and dig, but the city's regulations, what we require is that any mapped or inventoried sinkholes, that you either stay away from those, and if you wish to, determine different boundaries, there is a process for that that requires geological study.
Okay. The traffic on this, there's a traffic study done, correct?
correct, CJW performed a traffic study. They analyzed the 60 highway, Main Street. We also invited MoDOT to review that traffic study. Again, in that report, they provide no recommended improvements for this development. So, we do expect residents, if this subdivision were to go in. But as far as the report goes, the level of service will remain at the existing condition now, so.
Where do the streets empty out to 60?
So Cordoba and that Western Street can either go to 60 or to Main Street from Colorado. And then they also have an access point from Illinois to 60.
All right, so if they go to 60 highway, how's that regulated? How do you get a light on 60 highway?
So 60 highway is owned by MoDOT, so any improvements along there would require, their approval and recommendations from them as well.
Which is why even in this case, though they're not directly connecting to a MoDOT road, we did bring in MoDOT's review on this to make sure they didn't have any additional requirements or concerns with this.
And I assume they did not have additional issues.
Not beyond the plans that you see today. No,
Right.
no improvements to the intersections were required by
Okay.
MoDOT.
What else? Just go ahead.
Concerns. I will address the environmental concerns regarding animals, specifically in the treed areas on the Frisco Square property. We do not have regulations requiring a property owner to keep vegetation, whether it be trees, shrubs, native grasses on their property, specifically to allow for animals to continue, whether it be owls, birds, or any such animals living in that vegetation.
What's the plan for that, do you know, for the trees, the copse of trees?
We don't have specific plans as far as that vegetation being addressed, but by looking at the subdivision plat, it does appear that lots will be in the location of the existing grove of trees. So it would be the prerogative of the property owner if this subdivision does go forward with the PDD rezoning, and they would be able to remove those trees.
And they could do that today if they want to.
They absolutely could
Yeah.
do that today, yes.
outside of some bat habitats.
Correct. There's a season actually for removal of trees for bat mating season.
So I wish to re-clarify here. So if this proposal today doesn't go through, then it reverts back to this.
It never
From
changes, right. It doesn't change. This changes what already exists, and it'll go back to what already exists.
And what already existed
It's a PDD.
has been approved.
Has been approved since the 90s.
Yeah.
They would need no further public hearing in order to go forward with any type of development under the existing conditions of the Frisco Square PDD, meaning they would have to design it, the infrastructure, with an engineer, present that to the city for review, and if it met the qualifications for infrastructure review according to our ordinance, we would issue a permit. So no further discussion would be required in order for them to go forward with the existing PDD.
So this new drawing here, it looks like on the southern side here, the lots are smaller, and the ones in the center area there, the lots are larger. Is that, am I looking at that correctly?
It does appear that way. The way the ordinance is set up, it allows for minimum width and minimum depth, and then minimum square footage. So organically, through the design process, some lots are going to end up being a little bit larger than that minimum, but it is sheer minimum. So they can be larger, they can just not be any smaller than what is a part of the rezone application.
And what's the minimum lot size for R1H? Do you know that off the top of your head?
7,000 square feet.
Okay.
And 70 feet across, 100 feet back,
Okay.
or depth-wise.
Anybody have any more questions?
There was the power capacity question. Someone had mentioned
yes.
Power outages being prevalent in the past year. We have had 2 insane straight line windstorms in the past 2 months as well. I don't know if those lined up with the power outages in question, but were there any issues or any concerns with the electric system?
So
in
at this point
area?
in time, we have not provided any plans to the electric, assumedly Liberty, to review. That's part of what we would do during the infrastructure. What we've got today is really just a roadmap for a project, and we will see changes to this if this goes forward during the infrastructure design process as they navigate, as Angel was saying, that stormwater report and determine exactly how much space is needed to store that and where that goes, and as they determine where all the lines go. But we don't, at this point, we don't bring in the electric
Who
companies,
has?
and we do not personally.
Is that
regulate
Liberty?
electric.
Yes.
Liberty.
Okay. Liberty would design that.
Yes, they come in and they design and they increase capacity as needed. I can't speak to the strength or overall composition of that capacity and whether there is greater or lesser outages in the recent past.
We do have an ongoing relationship with all of our electrical providers, and when there are issues, whether it's material shortages such as transformers, that information is also relayed to the city and other partner utilities. We have received no information from Liberty this year saying that there's any type of capacity issues with any type of development in the city.
But I can guess what would happen if they can't serve it. I mean, it's not going to get built. If they don't, what we see is those projects wait until they can be served in the past when we've had these supply issues. So for instance, during COVID, when we had supply issues, projects were slowing down, waiting on those transformers to arrive as things came over. So it is literally, you know, electricity provision is literally one of the conditions for them to be able to build there.
Well, I'm assuming Monte Cristo and the other neighboring properties are served by Liberty as well. So there's already an established, at least the electricity is right up there. It may not be sufficient, but
And there are also electrical mains in the Frisco Square development itself, because there is development in Frisco Square.
I think we've covered everything. I'm going to allow whoever had their hand up back there, if you have a question or, oh, okay. Comments, yes, from the applicant.
Yeah, I was just going to clarify on the Liberty Electric side of things. They, while the city hasn't supplied plans to them, we have provided Liberty with our AutoCAD file and our layout. And they have not expressed any concerns with the development. They're working on their preliminary design for their electric service so that they can provide the owner with the cost of this. And I feel at this point in the game, if they had a concern, they would have brought it up to us, and they have not.
I assume that you would be willing to talk to folks about the trees and the owl and.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I can talk to them, and also Brad King is one of the developers. He's here with me today. So, we have these public hearings so that we can get comments back. We haven't heard that comment about the owl or the wildlife that lives back there. This is the first time we've heard that. So certainly, I also want to find out the address of the gentleman that thinks he may or may not have a sinkhole opening in his backyard, because I don't want to be responsible for
Mr.
putting a lot
Springer?
on that.
Right.
I don't, I'm going to be the one that seals the plans at the end of the day, and I don't want to be reading in the news next week and find out one got eaten by a sinkhole. So yeah, no, certainly we want to have those conversations. And while the city doesn't have anything that protects environmental wildlife, that, there are things that the DNR has that protects when trees can be taken down, to protect the bats. They look at more at endangered species as opposed to your typical songbird or stuff. But there are some regulations that we do have to follow in order to get land disturbance permits. But yeah, no, we're open to see where we can preserve trees. We always love to preserve trees where we can. It's less trees that we have to plant to meet city ordinance. It's always nice to have the buffer between the neighbors. So certainly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Yeah, we can catch everything. Okay. Discussion among us. What's your druthers here? Might want to make a motion, or do we need to discuss it further?
Motion to vote on the approval of PDD 25-001.
Yeah, you're making a motion to recommend the approval of, right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure it's right, because it could be different. All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. A motion to recommend the approval of an application to change the zoning classification of approximately 18.49 acres located at the 900 block of South Colorado Avenue from Frisco Square PDD to Frisco Square Amended Plan Development District. Call the roll.
Commissioner Mann?
Aye.
Commissioner Means?
Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava?
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander?
Aye.
Commissioner Copeland?
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis?
I'm sorry, me?
I'm sorry, did I say that twice? Yeah, I called you last.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you.
Okay.
I thought you were calling me some different name.
No,
which might be appropriate at this time.
I thought maybe I had repeated commission when you said that.
All right. I'm sorry, ma'am. If you want to hang around and ask your question later, I'll stay for a little bit and listen to it. It's just about the water capacity. Well, we're done with that. We voted on this. We're going to move to the second public hearing. It's VACA 25-007, recommending the approval of an application to vacate a portion of East Will Street right-of-way in Mason Ridge Phase 1. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. It's supposed Okay, did you hear me? I got through it. You ready? You ready to give us the, Patrick, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Thank you.
On behalf of the Community Development Department, Patrick Ruiz, Associate Planner. The Community Development Department is requesting the vacation of a portion of East Will Street right-of-way in Mason Ridge, Phase 1. The requested vacation of East Will Street is approximately 6,035 square feet in total. At the time of construction, the subject right-of-way was not built out as a street. The extension of Will Street to the west is not anticipated due to the adjacent undeveloped land is designated as a floodway and floodplain. In addition, just east of the proposed vacated right-of-way is the site of a cluster mailbox at the intersection of Will Street and Fox Ridge Avenue. The vacated portion of the road will be returned to the adjacent property owner of Mason Ridge LLC and will be incorporated into the common area for Mason Ridge Phase 1. The Community Development Department recommends approval of the requested street vacation.
Is there anyone here, we have the applicant who's given their speech. Is there anyone here that wishes to give information in favor of the application? Not seeing anyone move forward. Is there anyone here that wishes to give information to this board that would be opposed to the application? Not seeing anyone coming forward. Close the hearing. Discussion?
Just out of general curiosity, why was that stub even put in place in the first place when there's not really anywhere to the west that it can traverse to?
So I believe at one point there was plans to build like a clubhouse, pool house type area, and they were going to build a road to that, but I think that didn't come to fruition. Okay. And a lot of times when you have these like stub outs like this, it becomes like a trouble to maintain. Like typically the city maintains the right of way, but we have a lot of other areas to maintain, and typically it's the adjacent property owners do it unless, you know, they don't, and then the city gets to it as they can, so.
Motion to vote on the recommendation of approval of vacation 25-007.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Call the roll.
Commissioner Means,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis,
Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava,
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander,
Aye.
Commissioner Copeland, Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Final hearing, VACA 25-008, recommending the approval of an application to vacate an existing utility easement in Lot 1 of Mason Ridge Phase 1. Patrick?
Yep. So this is very close to the right-of-way vacation request as well, just north of it. So the Community Development Department is requesting the vacation of a utility easement located in Lot 1 of Mason Ridge Phase 1. The requested vacation of a utility easement is 10 feet wide that runs parallel with the southern property line of Lot 1 and is in total approximately 1,100 square feet. The reference utility easement is currently unused for the intended purpose of construction and maintenance of infrastructure designed to serve Lot 1. The city has no utilities occupying this easement and has no plans for future utilities to occupy this easement. City staff also verified no utility infrastructure or plan extensions exist for the easement with other utility companies that provide infrastructure to the Mason Ridge subdivision. Vacating this easement would provide for more flexibility to develop a single-family house on the vacant property of Lot 1. Once the easement is vacated, the associated development rights will be given to the property owner of Built Better Homes LLC. The Community Development Department recommends approval of the requested utility easement. Sorry, typo in there.
Okay. I call anyone that wishes to speak in favor of the application to come forward and tell us what we need to know. Seeing no one coming forward, I call for anyone who's opposed to the application to come forward and tell us what the issues are. Seeing no one come forward, I close the hearing. Anybody got a discussion or a motion?
Motion to vote on the recommendation for approval of vacation 25-008.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to recommend the approval of an application to vacate an existing utility easement in Lot 1 of Mason Ridge Phase 1. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Mann?
Aye.
Commissioner Copeland?
Aye.
Commissioner Alexander?
Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava?
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis?
Aye.
Commissioner Means?
Aye.
Okay. Finished with the 3 public hearings. Dare I ask if there are citizens here that wish to speak?
They all left.
Yep. We got lots of very good, very collegial, very cordial kind of discussion. Community development update.
Only to let you know that we do have an application for next month's meeting, so we will be getting that information to you as the weeks continue.
Okay. I hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do your second?
Second.
Don't fight for it. Thank you. Call the roll.
Commissioner Alexander?
Aye.
Commissioner Copeland?
Aye.
Commissioner DeBrava?
Aye.
Commissioner Means?
Aye.
Commissioner Mann?
Aye.
Commissioner Ellis?
Aye. You always go alphabetically. You jump around.
I was taught that we're supposed to randomize that.
Okay, I don't care. I don't care.